Hello, hello, and welcome, my Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your Twin Flame contract read for May and June 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo, Lyons, Mel for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle Productions, and fellow Earth sign. Very, very happy to be serving you, my bulls. I hope you are being noble. Sorry, that was out of nowhere. Bad dad joke. I'm sorry. I'm not even a dad. No excuse. Guilty, guilty, guilty. If you are new to my channel, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as I'm putting out content every day pretty much. Yeah, I don't really miss a day, do I? Virgo that I am. And comment in the comment section below, particularly Twin Flame and Soulmate readings. People like commenting on because it's cool, right? You'll see why as we go through. Please keep in mind, though, this is a general read. Please take what resonates, leave what does not. Check your other signs. I'm trying to keep these readings to about 30 minutes, give or take, because upload times are just ridiculous right now. Trying to keep them relatively brief. We're only doing 13 cards. You'll see how it goes down. So again, please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Check your other signs because, you know, can't please all the people all the time. And sometimes this stuff makes sense later. It's my neighbors. We share a water spigot, a hose spigot outside. So I don't know what they're doing. Don't want to know either. Why? Because I'm working, Virgo, that I am. This is a twin flame reading, right? So a twin flame is a soul contract, like soulmate, but different from soulmate in that a twin flame is a relationship that teaches you how to love yourself, teaches you how to respect yourself, teaches you boundaries, teaches you... Do I have to cast? They're lovely people. Don't they know I'm working? No, they don't know I'm working. They don't know what I do for a living, pretty much, I bet, unless they do. In which case, they should keep it down. Just kidding, sort of. Yeah, so tricky, turbulent, sometimes traumatic twin flame contracts. Not always romantic, sexual. In fact, you know, it can be your boss can be a twin flame contract, right? Teaching you to respect yourself and get out of a job if you are being, you know, get a new job if you're being treated poorly, right? If there's abuse, neglect, codependence, etc., you know, they're tricky, they're traumatic, but they make our souls grow faster than any kind of relationship. And I believe in hindsight, we often give thanks for the lessons that we learned, even if we're not too thrilled with the personalities. Remember, this is a soul-to-soul contract made prior to incarnation. So, you know, we're all playing our roles the best that we can. But that's why seeing the contract is helpful. So you can see, well, what can I learn here? What is this trying to teach me? What can I learn from this about myself, right? Because sometimes twin flames are like twins. You're so alike that it's just so close you don't see it. So it's good to pull back. So like a contract, we're going to look at party number 1 is the divine feminine over on this side. The divine masculine will be party number 2, but it has nothing to do with biological gender. It's just a way of defining two different types of energies, right? A positive and a negative, a masculine, a feminine, a yin and a yang, however you want to see that, right? So if you will keep your eye on your breath, and I will do the same, we'll both be in the present moment. I'll be breathing in the guidance and grace to get you the clarity that you need. If you are doing it, you'll be able to feel what resonates and leave what doesn't. Get your own intuitive hits as we go, and we'll get you read. Cool, cool. All the decks that I read are in the description box below. We're going to start with 2 Caroline Mace archetype decks, as I usually do for Twin Flame and Soulmate reads. Let's do this. Breathe. So good. Please, my collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. 2 cards. 1 for the divine feminine, 1 for the divine masculine in this Twin Flame, this Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for May and June 2020. There's our divine feminine, please. 1 for the divine, that's 2. Just 1 for the divine masculine. Just one. All right, I'll take if it kicks, and there's just 1, I will take it. So let's see who our maybe not so happy couple are. Well. Actually, these two would be lovely together if they could get their acts together. We've got the wounded child archetype for the divine feminine, and the liberator for the divine masculine. So a liberator taking action, maybe a social justice or divine masculine, wanting to liberate the wounded child of the divine feminine, could be very lovely. And you know, there are twin flame contracts that do alchemize over time into soulmates. Differences, soulmates, you're helping each other heal. But let's look at the shadow sides, because that's usually what you're learning how to heal. The shadow attributes of each archetype. For the wounded child, the shadow attribute blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. So if you're not willing to forgive, you're going to replay this over and over and over and over again, and not as a punishment, not like detention, but that's called the compassionate response of the universe, of the divine plan. The quantum's giving you the same situation over and over and over, different faces, different names, different situations, right? Like you could work it out at work, or you could work it out in your romantic, sexual, or paradigms, or your, you know, familiar relationships, your friends. Because it's all, that child in your heart is calling to be healed, calling to be loved, that wounded child within you. It's hurt, right? In the shadow. Now, your light attribute, so much lighter, awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, right? So there's the compassionate aspect of there. Once you've healed, I mean, I have the wounded child archetype. I was abused all sorts of different ways, abused and neglected growing up. I was born in 1968. Child psychology is radically different now. My parents divorced when I was young. There's a whole story there. But I healed my relationship with my parents, and I want not just a medal, I want a diploma and a statue for that. And I love my parents, even my father, who crossed, bless his heart, a twin flame contract for me. Also, the light attribute opens the learning path of forgiveness. So if you're willing to learn how to forgive, then really that's the biggest lesson. We learn how to forgive, and it's a lesson that we learn to generalize through every other relationship in our lives. And of course, because of the quantum and unity consciousness and all that, we're always just forgiving ourselves. It's how it works. I know, cliche, but true. Let's look at this liberator archetype for the divine masculine. The shadow attribute, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate. Sure, I'll get you out of that situation. Now do what I tell you to do. And ignoring legitimate constraints. Like, for example, if you want to liberate somebody from their sadness, but they're in recovery of some way, shape, or form, then you're like, go on, have a drink, it won't hurt you. That's not great. That's really scary. That's really toxic, right? So that's an example of ignoring legitimate constraints. The light attribute, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns, and your own as well. It is seeing things differently. So there's a strong mental component here. With seeing things differently. Otherwise, you know, don't crack up, bend your brain, see both sides, throw off your mental chains. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Little Howard Jones goes a long way, don't you think? He's still cute. Okay, what we're going to do is we are going to take 5 of the Daughters of the Moon Tarot and do fire, earth, air, water, spirit for her. And remember, it's not about gender, but I have to keep the pronouns straight in my head so that my brain hemispheres don't implode in a bad way. I'd like it to happen in a good way. We're going to use the Mythic Tarot for the Divine Masculine. Same thing, fire, earth, air, water, spirit. But ladies, Divine Feminines first. Breathe. Oh, my favorite part. My goddesses, please. 5 cards, element spread for this Divine Feminine Wounded Child archetype in this Taurus collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs in this twin flame contract for May to June 2020. Please, element of fire, what does she desire here? Top card, thank you. Oopsie. Element of earth, what does she have to help her achieve what she wants? Element of earth, go there. Element of air, what's she thinking? What is she thinking? What is she thinking going on here? Element of air, element of water, what is she feeling, the divine feminine that she is? And the card of spirit, what is the voice of the soul? The voice or the point of view of the soul. All right, let's have a look-see, dooksy. Her element of fire, what does she want? She wants the Seven of Pentacles appraisal, right? She wants to assign value. She wants to see what's truly of value going on, perhaps in herself, like self-evaluation, in this relationship, whether this relationship is worth it. What is she learning? What is she not learning? And if you are aware of the twin flame journey as being a turbulent, transformative teacher, then perhaps wanting to really get, no, brass tacks, I need to appraise this. What is the value? What am I learning here? Is this done? Is this over? Is this past its expiration date? Or is there still stuff here that I can learn? Now look, I will say over and over and over again every single time for every single reading if necessary. Abuse, neglect, codependency, walk away. But if you can't, then that's part of the divine plan too. And I understand where we are on planet Earth right now. I'm not going to talk about what's going on planet Earth because I think we've all... You hear it other places, right? You don't need to hear it from a twin flame reading, but of course I acknowledge that. So maybe getting up and walking away isn't the easiest thing if you are in the same physical location. How can I say it? Sequestered in your own domain. So really wanting to look at this and appraise, like maybe even appraising, like, is it worth it? How can I do this? It's a little bit more like analysis and planning, but if it's really about, when you have something appraised, you want to know the value, usually the monetary value, that might be part of this as well. And remember, this need not be romantic sexual, and it's really only 3 cards down. Let's not jump there right now, unless you're already saying, nope, I know what this is exactly, and that's why you have to take what resonates, leave what doesn't, right? What's your element of earth? So, well, you got an earth card in your fire position. What do you got in your earth? Yeah, Two of Cups. Two of Cups is usually a romantic thing, or at least it's a strong emotional attraction to somebody. So, but I'm going to go with that as a romantic thing because, come on, Two of Cups. In this deck, the Whirlpool, I really like that image of two things that are as far away as possible but being drawn together usually rather quickly until they meet, that sort of emotional pull. Now, that could also be in its shadow side some codependence, right? If this is a parent, liberator, child, wounded child, you know what I'm saying, relationship here, then, you know, that's not going to play itself out romantically, obviously, but it doesn't mean that there's not an emotional connection there. Perhaps a push and pull of wanting what they cannot give you. Now look, I love my father very dearly, God rest his soul, right? But he wanted, and I say this every time when I talk about twin flames in this context, he wanted a heterosexual, Republican, Catholic. I'm a homosexual, gay, democratic witch and reader, right? He was never going to get that. He was never going to give me that approval. He loved me. I loved him dearly. I also wanted a sane father, Gemini that he was, but I'll always love him, you know, and he wasn't my father in every life, and that's the point, you know. If this is parental, they're not your parents in every life, right? These are souls that have helped you come in to grow and heal and learn. So whatever that emotional thing is, even if this is romantic, sexual, with this card here saying that what you really want to do is you really want to appraise the situation. Is it worth it? And if you're being physically abused in any way, because the wounded child, right, could replay that in any sort of relationship, physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, spiritually abused. People don't think of spiritual abuse, but it's a thing. As well as neglect, physical neglect, emotional neglect, mental neglect, spiritual neglect. This is how you learn how to give this stuff to yourself, right? But if you're being harmed, do what you got to do, because what's on your mind, your mental field is the Four of Cups. In this deck, sorrow. So maybe you are thinking about how much you've cried, thinking about the emotional dissatisfaction, because you go from a 2 to a 4 there. Now, you know, 4s numerologically, a little hard to say today, are about rest, somewhat stability before you move into the 5s. So maybe this is part of the reflection you are sort of thinking about in this appraisal, really kind of thinking about, well, you know, is this them? Is this me? Is this, I'm just not satisfied here, and you're thinking about it, right? Totally a twin flame card there, though the card does say sorrow, 3 cups spilled, 1 cup standing that you can't see. Remember, there's always a gift in these things, even if this gift is you learn how to give yourself the love that only you can give you. And no one else is going to be able to give you that. But when you are in a twin flame contract, it often feels like, my God, if I could just get that love, that acceptance, that approval from them, I would be so happy. And really, the truth is, even if they give it to you, you won't be. You got to give that stuff to yourself. I didn't write that rule, but I'm kind of glad that rule is there. What's going on emotionally, since we have the Two of Cups and the Four of Cups? And there we go. We have the card of oppression in the emotional field. So there is some pain here, but there's also probably a codependence going on here. In other words, being weighed down. There's a woman under those rocks, and those rocks are the faces of people. So that could be, well, what will the neighbors think? Or what will the family think? Or what will my friends? Or blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of psychic weight. And certainly, like the chains on the card of the devil, there is an attachment there, an emotional attachment that is weighing you down. Does feel like a dependency, and perhaps it is this divine masculine is helping take care of the divine feminine. And there needs to be some maturity here, perhaps. But like I said, in the time and place where we are, if you are living in the same space, I can understand not wanting to pick up your bed and walk during such a challenging time on planet Earth, but at the same time, there are fears there, right? It's the card of the devil. There's always a fear to be faced, and something, a fear to be faced. And what, demolished? No, those fears, the fears of the wounded child, need more love, not less. I would highly recommend the inner child work, particularly through the lens and perspective of Matt Kahn, and his healing mantra deck will be the last card down, right? What is the voice of the soul here? The card of spirit. Criticism. Now in this deck, I don't think it so much means that somebody being critical. It's like, and your breath smells, and you have split ends, and you can't hit a note to save your life, right? Like, not that. Maybe that, but not necessarily that. The voice of the soul is saying, focus, right? Think of the Nine of Blades, right? If you're familiar with the Rider-Waite Tarot, the Nine of Blades, right, which is a very scary, shadowy version of the Nine of Blades, but of really to focus on that last piece of detail, that last piece of critical thought, to really examine what is your lesson here, because the Nine of Blades would lead to the 10 of Blades, would lead to a resolution, would lead to, in this deck, the card of the rattle, the passing of the talking stick, so that every voice is heard. And maybe that is something, as these arrows indicate, to look within yourself to find. Because if this is not a parental relationship, when the wounded child is involved, there is an indication. Obviously, this could be about your childhood in some way, some wound that is still calling to be healed. And by the way, I mean, the wounded child of the collective unconscious is in need of healing right now. So afraid of doing anything, doesn't have the freedom to do what it wants to do, to express itself. But really, I would then say, since the word forgiveness is repeated twice on this archetype card, to really focus on forgiveness, right? Forgiveness, the version that I was raised with was very toxic, right? But as you study the spiritual as well as psychological forms of forgiveness that are now available, and evolved forms based on the quantum, on unity consciousness, you do understand, this is about freeing myself. This is about not condoning what was done, but really focusing on that there is a lesson here for me. There is a gift here for me. And to me, forgiveness is the fire of alchemy that transforms lead to gold. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same thing all over and over and over again, right? So it's not about, if I spot it, I got it. If they're abusive, I must be abusive to myself. Maybe, maybe not. But to understand there's definitely a lesson here. And this soul has agreed to take on the role of teacher here, even as a liberator, which maybe this is somebody who rescued you. Well, it's the rescuer archetype. Liberated you from one situation and is just imposing their own tyranny on you. So let's find out. By the way, this might be the Taurus, right? Let's see how this plays out. I don't want to jump to any conclusions. Nice deep breath. As I ask my gods, please, my gods, 5 cards, the elements spread for this divine masculine liberator archetype in this Taurus collective sun, moon, rising, Venus sign twin flame contract for May, June 2020, please. Element of fire, what does he want? Element of earth, what does he have to help him get what he wants? Element of air, what is he thinking about all of this? Element of water, what is he feeling about all of this? And element of spirit, what is the voice or the point of view of the soul? Sorry, getting it together. I am a Virgo. Yeah, I don't do reverse cards, I think, with twin flames. It's tricky enough as is. So, element of earth for this liberator archetype. Well, element of fire. What he wants is the Gemini card, so definitely some self-expression here. Now, if this is the Taurus, right, collective sun, moon, rising sign, and this is a Gemini in some way, shape, or form, they might very much want to resolve this, to talk about it, to get it out there. The Dioscuri, the twins here, third house, right? I so rarely am feeling zodiacal cards having to do with people anymore. That's how I was trained. That's how I learned how to do it. That's how I even taught people for decades. But kind of feeling with the quantum being what it is, that really look at the house placements, the lessons in life, particularly in soul contracts, right? So self-expression, honesty, truth, or is it duplicity? But a wanting to communicate, to express oneself, perhaps to say something, feel something in a way that would move this relationship towards healing, or maybe say, I want out, right? I'm miserable here. Let's say we got other cards to come. What's the element of earth to help him with that element of air? Darlings, you both have the Two of Cups in the Earth position. I'm sorry. I gotta say this is a romantic thing, right? Or a love. Like I said, my father and I were twin flame contracts. Definitely a twin flame contract. We loved each other dearly, but I wouldn't call it a Two of Cups in that romantic, sexual sense. It's icky. But that there's no coincidence here. That's why I use the two separate tarot decks, one for the Divine Feminine, one for the Divine Masculine, particularly so that we can see that. You both have Two of Cups. You both have Two of Cups. So what you have is there is a love there, so maybe that can be... Oh, okay, like, so if this is romantic, maybe it's just not romantic anymore. You love each other, but you have to learn how to see each other. Oh, it's an old spell, I know. And I can't even give you the words for it. It's a process more than a spell to turn a lover into a brother. I'm gay, right? So we're all brothers and sisters, right? We're all the divine children. We're all children of a lesser god. We're all children of the divine, the hidden children of the gods, as the pagans like to say. But so maybe there is something here, a transformation, a forgiveness that needs to go on here. Because there's no question that the emotional connection is there one-on-one. But the grace of piety, can you acknowledge, perhaps if you're the Divine Feminine, a praise that there is something of value here in terms of a lesson that you are both teaching each other and learning from each other? Yeah, I can feel that right in my belly. So there's love here. There's no question. There's love here. But again, it could be codependent. It could be a codependent situation. What's going on in his mind? Well, he's hopeful. Got the card of the star there, Pandora's box. More than just a drag queen, Pandora's box. I just have her carol chanting in my head now. You delete. Beautiful performance, but not while I'm reading. The card of the star, right? To focus for something higher. God, I hope that something can come out of this. I hope I can follow the guidance and the grace here. That this can work out for the well-being of all. Well, if each of you can do your own healing, had my dad lived, and had he gone to therapy, right? And I took the healing path after he died. I really did. Otherwise, I was terrified of being like him, in that sense of a Gemini narcissist. A Jekyll and Hyde, right? A Gemini. So, I would like to have thought that had he lived, that we could have worked out our differences, and we probably would have, because we really did love each other. But at the same time, once he died, it was much easier to talk to him, right? And we've had many conversations since, and he said, yeah, I haven't been your father in every life, and if I helped you, push you on that path of psychological and spiritual healing, blessed be. Well, I didn't say blessed be because he was Catholic, but you know what I'm saying. So there is a hope here in the mind of this Divine Masculine for this contract, and what he's feeling is victory, the Six of Wands, right? Feeling like this can be overcome, which really leads me to think then this may not be romantic sexual, because this could very easily be parent-child, right? This very easily could be parent-child. But, you know, this is what they're giving me. When a wounded child is being liberated by somebody, they feel an emotional sense of loyalty, right? An emotion of loyalty, a loyalty of, well, even if things get toxic. And maybe this liberator is being a little tyrannical, right? Calling all the shots. My way or the highway, or I'm sending you back to where you came from, right? Which isn't great, but with that Six of Wands here, really, really feeling no matter what it takes, I'm going to get the golden fleece. I will survive this. I will get what I want here, which can have a little bit of a tyrannical win at all costs kind of warrior archetype vibe here. But hopefully this is about freeing himself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. And with that card of the Star, that's highly probable. I'll say more than possible. I'll say highly probable. What is the point of view or the voice of the soul here? The Hermit. So the soul is saying to this divine masculine liberator, liberate your own self, right? Liberate your own emotions. Liberate what you're really feeling here. Yes, there is no question that there is love here. She's got the card of oppression, the devil in the emotions. He's got the Hermit card and the Star in his soul position and in his mental position. So there's no reason why this can't be worked out amicably. I mean, not all twin flames have to end in ashes, but can you guys transform? Plenty of times there, I'm sure probably more often than we realize, probably predominantly twin flame relationships learn to get along, to respect each other, to set their boundaries, and then the contract is complete, but you can still coexist, right? Doesn't mean everybody has to move to different continents, although some of them I wish would. Some of them I wish would move, go away, go far, far, far away. One more card down and we are done, and it is a healing mantra deck from the Matt Kahn healing mantra. It's a healing mantra card from the healing mantra deck. Just one card from the Ascended Masters of what either one of you, whoever's watching this, can work this mantra. But I'm going to say, Taurian, whether you are the divine masculine or the divine feminine here, work whatever mantra this is. Nice deep breath, please. Because one side of the card is the mantra, the other side of the card is the name of the mantra. I will use the name of the mantra to alphabetically look it up in the bookie book where there is a paragraph or two that I always find very, very helpful. So here we go. My Ascended Masters, please. I don't know what's going on here, but we got the Devil card and the Star and the Hermit, and you know, there's a lot going on here, as twin flames always do. I thought maybe with less cards, instead of a 25 card spread, we'll do 13, but maybe I should have known better than to pick the 13 as a number card here. But please, one card in clarity. What is the perfect healing mantra, my Ascended Masters, for this Taurus collective? Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs involving this divine feminine wounded child and divine masculine liberator archetype. Please, what is their perfect healing mantra? May, June 2020. Anchoring the light. Anchoring the light. The light is always within me. Now, what I like about that as a mantra, because that can be a little, you know, new agey, a little pink painty, except that's not Matt Kahn. Matt Kahn doesn't see, he's not an emotional bypasser, right? Oh, the light is with me, love and light, thoughts and prayers. No. Particularly with this divine feminine, the soul saying, look within, the light is always within me. Well, let's read this one, Anchoring the Light, and see what it has to say. The light is always within me. When you anchor the light, you are accepting the infinite life force of the universe as your guardian. Maybe this liberator has been acting as a guardian to the divine feminine here, and companion. Maybe the wounded child has been a companion to the liberator. So let me start that again and really hear this differently. When you anchor the light, you are accepting the infinite life force of the universe as your guardian, navigator, and companion. As you anchor the light, you are no longer a person trying to find the deeper meaning of connection. Instead, you know yourself to be a living expression of connection, simply appearing in human form. This mantra is ideal for overcoming fear, reducing cravings, and making important life decisions. Yeah, got it. I'm going to pop up the card. We'll do it in overview and see what else shows itself. Ready? Nice deep breath. Magic clap. As we start with this divine feminine wounded child archetype in the shadow, blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. And with that anchoring the light card, you're going to move towards forgiveness because you get the unity consciousness of it all. The light attribute awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children, opens the learning path of forgiveness. This is absolutely about forgiveness for the divine feminine, but with the Seven of Pentacles in her fire position, she might be like, is this worth it? Well, if it's all about forgiveness and you actually learn how to forgive this in a way that heals you, yes, it's worth it, because in your element of earth there, you've got the Two of Cups, the whirlpool. There is love here. It just may not be the happiest form of love. And yes, because forgiveness is indicated here, maybe this is a twin flame contract that alchemizes into a soulmate contract. It's not unheard of. It's just incredibly rare. And with the mind there, with the Four of Cups and sorrow, there's been a lot of tears, but they may not all be from this particular twin flame relationship. This could be about childhood wounds. So maybe this divine feminine is certainly, with that card of criticism at the top there, focusing in on how she's feeling, the sorrow, the loss, the pain, the grief, but at the same time from a larger perspective of seeing this as something that certainly stems from childhood, a repetitive pattern, because emotionally she's got that devil card there, oppression, right? So feeling weighed down, feeling overburdened, perhaps her nervous system is inflamed and overwrought and tired, and she needs a break, she needs a rest. That inner child is probably running the show for so long that she's just exhausted herself and feels burdened by this entire situation. So it would make sense, the voice of the soul, the Nine of Blades, saying turn within, turn a critical eye inwards, not to rip yourself to shreds, but to really get to the heart of the matter, mentally, to focus in that way, the Nine of Blades. And what's in the mental position there is the Four of Cups, emotion, right? And what's in the emotional field, oppression. So this might be a huge opportunity for the divine feminine wounded child to heal here. And if she can evaluate and appraise the situation in that way, great big, huge healing available. For the divine masculine, we've got the liberator archetype in the shadow, imposing your tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Constraints, I made a new word. The light attribute, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. And I'm loving that light side. And remember, the mantra for anchoring the light is always within me. So archetypally, that is true for both of y'all. And what does he want? The Knight of Swords. Not just to move on, but that thing of self-expression, perhaps of gathering more information. Geminis are good for that, right? Let me look at it this way. Let me look at it this way. What if this? Oh, let me read that. Let me research this. So can make self-expression a bit clearer and a bit more informed. But with the element of earth, no coincidence there with the Two of Cups, as the divine feminine has as well. There is definitely either an attraction here, or the beginning stages of a relationship, or even if it is parent-child, there is really perhaps an immature level of love here, one that needs to deepen in terms of respect, but that respect has to be given to themselves first to deal with their own stuff. Like liberator, liberate thyself. But, if we got to give it to the divine masculine here, has the card of the star there, that card of hope for the divine feminine here in this relationship, that thing of, that hope this all works out, right? Trying to look on the positive side, the bright side of this, which goes with that light attribute, releasing negative thought patterns. Hope is certainly a way through to that. And in the emotional field, that Six of Wands, like I said, could be a little tyrannical there, imposing his own tyranny. He's like, I'm gonna dominate, I'm gonna win this situation, I'm gonna be in victory no matter what. But can also be that softer side of it in terms of liberators. We can get through this. And that is what's leading me to think that this may not be romantic sexual for everybody watching this. That I could see this between a parent and a child and say, look, I know it's rough. We've had some hard times, but you're getting older now, honey, and we can get through this because I do love you, and I hope it can, and maybe we can make our way through this. And, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to get along 24/7, but I'm also going to say, with the voice of the soul there being the hermit, in the spirit position there, that this is going to take time, right? And it's going to take some introspection, and maybe the divine masculine needs to pull back and respect the space of the child archetype, to let her go her way, to let her find her way through this. Why? Because if they can both get into anchoring the light, or even if just one of them can really work this mantra, the light is always within me, then there's going to be some new opportunities. Light is truth. That is about unity consciousness. There's certainly going to be more of a movement towards forgiveness, albeit gradually, with that emotional oppression going on for the divine feminine, forgiveness of herself, forgiveness of this this liberator divine masculine, as well as any other thing from perhaps childhood that has happened, as well as there's nothing quite as liberating as the light, the truth, showing you, remember, the light will set you free, but it usually pisses you off first. So look, I get the stubbornness of Taurus, right? I get it. Fixed earth. But also focus on your values. Do you value this relationship? Do you value each other? I'm going to say with the Two of Cups in the earth position, earth signs, that's there. But take the time, right? Nothing needs to be fast-tracked right now except things that really need to be fast-tracked in our world. That being said, though, take your time. What would love do? Make that your highest value. What would love do? What would love do here? Love would do its best to be healthy. Love would do its best to be forgiving, to mature, to take the healing path of forgiveness, as well as to liberate oneself and others from negative thought patterns, right? So wishing the Taurus collective all that they need. May the Taurus collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need in their twin flame contracts for May, June 2020, that they may heal, that they may grow, that they may forgive, that they may be liberated, that they may find victory, that they may free themselves from oppression for their well-being and for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. Again, please do like the video if you feel it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know the structure of this relationship, even if it's just like parents. It's just one or two words. So hopeful. Gives me some context, and it's just fun for me to read sometimes, right? Otherwise, wishing you the very best and the very blessed in your twin flamers for May, June. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.